probably have diabetes. And I was like, that's impossible. Like, I've been an athlete my whole life. Like, I'm not in great shape, but like I'm in shape. Like, there's no way I have diabetes.
Wait, hold on. I got to stop you there.
Yeah.
Tell everyone how much you run. Don't
So,
tell us we're not in good shape. And then we can go back to it. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. We are back. And today is a really exciting interview. We've been waiting for like weeks for this because this guy was our very first guy. He's the OG. Welcome, Carl Hilliard, everyone, out of Texas.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, this is awesome. We've been waiting for a while to talk to you because we met you last summer. I want everyone to get the backstory of Carl.
For sure.
We met you last summer at Next Gen. Mm-hmm. And we're very particular, obviously, about the people that we bring on the team and, you know, their spirit.
We had no team at that point.
It
was you and me and Joey.
Right, it was. And actually, you played against Joey in the Next Gen, and Joey was, 13 at the time, and he couldn't score a point for the life of him on anybody because obviously he was playing with the greatest in the world there at the time. And you played against him, and you were so kind to him and gave him a couple points and everything. And Joey walked off the court with a huge smile on his face. And later on, we watched you in that moment, continue on through Next Gen, and you were an absolute animal on the court. Beast. I mean, just a beast. Won gold in singles, literally crushed it. And I had a chance to talk to you afterward. And I think the thing that I love the most about you, and when Rochelle and I were talking about it, was that you are such a competitor and an animal on the court, but you are just such a gentleman and a gentle person off the court that wears his heart on his sleeve. And I'm like, this guy just wraps it all up. But anyway, enough about that. The reason we had you on is because we think you have such a cool story, and we wanted you to share it with everybody because I know that you've gone through like these pitfalls in life, right? Mm-hmm. And some challenges, and you've overcome them. So if you would you just take us back, as far as you want, just tell us about a little bit where you started and where you have come today.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate the backstory and the intro. It was so great to meet y'all. And, it was funny because at the time I didn't have a sponsor. And like, I really didn't know how to go about getting one. I see like people all around me were sponsored, and I just didn't really know what to do with that. But it was interesting because I thought that my energy on the court would kind of turn people away from me. Not in the sense that I was a bad sportsman, because I'm not. But I just am very loud, and I bring a lot of fire and intensity. And so when you came up to me, it was a real pleasant surprise. And so thank you for approaching me with the offer. And joining Crush has been the highlight of my pickleball career. I have made so many great friends because of y'all. I mean, Kevin Dong, Joey, you two, AC, of course, just to name like a few. Like, I could go on because everyone on Team Crush is just the best. So I wanted to say thank you. But, so I guess my story, I mean, I played tennis my whole life, started at age 9 or 10, really loved it, fell in love with the game, just had a fire for it like nothing else. It was all I wanted to do. It was all I could think about. I just, lived, breathed, and all I cared about was tennis. But when I was a junior in high school, I got injured. I got a stress fracture in my right ankle, and it took me out for about 4 months. And when I came back, I don't really know how to explain it. The fire was just gone. It was a bummer for me because I really didn't know what to do with myself, and I was struggling for maybe like a year and a half because I was still playing, but I didn't love it anymore. I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't like a passion of mine anymore. It was mainly just like a hobby. So I didn't really know who I was because I'd been a tennis player my whole life, and it was like, well, who am I without tennis? Like, I don't who is Carl Hilliard? I didn't
You were
really
trying
know.
to find your identity, right?
Yeah. That's right. And I really didn't find it. It was interesting. I kind of was just going through the motions, and it's not like I was really unhappy, but I felt like I was kind of directionless, kind of just like going through, doing whatever. I was doing school for a degree that I frankly didn't really care about. It was business stats. And nothing wrong with business stats. I'm not dogging on it. It's just, it wasn't for me. But I was doing it, and then I was lifting with some of my friends, and I got injured. I got a hernia, so I had to go get surgery to get that fixed. And when I went in for blood work, like 4 days before surgery, they were like, "Did you eat a bunch of sugar, like a whole liter of soda or a whole cake before you came in?" And I was like, "No, what are you talking about? Like, no." And they're like, "Okay, well, your blood sugar is over 400." And I'm 20 years old. I've been an athlete my whole life. I don't even know what blood sugar is. Like, I'll be totally honest. I had no idea what they were talking about. And I was like, "Okay." And they were like, "Well, if you didn't eat like a bunch of sugar before you came in, the machine probably just messed up. Like, just come in tomorrow. Like, we'll do it again." I was like, "All right." So I come in the next day, and it's like 440. It's like even higher. And they're like, "Okay, this is really bad. Like, you need to go to a doctor. You probably have diabetes." And I was like, "That's impossible. Like, I've been an athlete my whole life. Like, I'm not in great shape, but like I'm in shape. Like, there's no way I have
No,
diabetes."
wait, hold on. I got to stop you there.
Yeah.
Tell everyone how much you run. Don't
So,
tell us we're not in good shape. And then we can go back to it.
Yeah. So for the past year, I've been averaging about 50 miles a week, which is between 6 and 8 every day. And so I was obviously taken aback by someone telling me I had diabetes, because I didn't know there were two types of diabetes. I didn't know anything about it. I was just like, "There's no way. I'm an athlete. I'm in shape. That's impossible."
And had you not gotten injured, you wouldn't have even been at the doctor to have your blood work done. So that was a God thing.
Right.
Like that
Yes,
was
absolutely.
that was part of the plan.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and there was just like so much going on at that point that I could go on, but I wouldn't be able to wrap this story up anytime today if I just talked about everything. But yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly right. And so I went to my primary care, who was like, "Okay, you have type 1 diabetes." And I have no idea. I'm a 20-year-old, like I've been an athlete my whole life, and all of this just is like hitting me for the first time, and it's so overwhelming. I have no um like ability to process that this is all happening so quickly, and it's just very, very stunning. And I really like.
You absolutely got sucker punched out of nowhere.
And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people can relate to that, Carl. Oftentimes, I think in this world, people feel so alone because they're in that dark place and they're not feeling the purpose. They're
Hmm.
just kind of going through the motions. I think that's very normal. And then you get hit with this information. You're going to school. You're not really enjoying what you're going to school for. Tennis really was your identity. You're not doing that. And now you get hit with this. So
Hmm.
where's the turning point for you at that point?
It's funny because this kind of was the turning point for me, in the sense that, my doctor, I went into my primary care, and I was just there. I was talking to him, and he tells me, he's like, "You have type 1 diabetes." And I was like, "Okay, well, can you explain that to me? Because I don't understand." And he was like, "Yeah, so basically, there's two types of diabetes. Type 2, it affects, like 1 in 10 Americans or something. And it's basically when you don't eat right and don't exercise for extended periods of time, your pancreas stops to work correctly." And I was like, "Okay, do I have that?" And he said, "No, you have type 1. Type 1 is an autoimmune disorder where your immune cells attack your pancreas, thinking it's an invader, like in the body." And I was like, "Okay, so what does this mean?" And again, I have no idea what diabetes is, until except for what he had just told me. And so I was like, "Okay, well, what do I have to do? How does it get cured? Whatever." And he goes, "No, there's no cure." And I was, I'm sitting there like Western medicine.
That was your second sucker punch.
Yeah. because West, you're used to the idea that everything can be cured except for, you know, the worst of diseases. And I've been so fortunate in my life up until that point that, you know, the worst thing I had was the flu, where I was like, you know, you take your Tamiflu and you're fine, and then you go live your life. So to hear there's no cure was like, I felt like I got punched in the stomach. I was like, okay, well, what do I do? And he's like, well, you're going to need to take insulin injections. And I go, okay, you know, how long do I need to do this for? Like a month, 2 months? And he goes, no, you're going to have to take insulin injections in your stomach every day with a needle for the rest of your life. And that was like the last nail in the coffin. I literally remember just like him telling me that. And I just like started crying. You know, I'm almost 21-year-old man in the doctor's office, just crying my eyes out. I had no idea what to do. And I was like super numb for about 2 months. And I finally started to look at it as more of a blessing. And I developed a relationship with God at this point, which is another real deep blessing that I'm thankful for it. And it motivated me to.
Did you have a strong Christian household?
Yes, I grew up Christian, but when I was maybe 16 or 17, I started to lose faith, and it's
normal.
not like,
that's normal.
yeah, I didn't feel like my relationship with God was important in my life, in my later teenage years and up until this, really. And so that was something that kind of kick-started my relationship with God. I now pray multiple times a day, and I think that I'm so blessed in everything I do. I'm one of the most blessed people that I know, and including this diabetes thing, because it really did open my eyes to a lot of things that I wouldn't have realized. You know, I took my health for granted before. And, you know, you don't think about how lucky you are just being able to have the ability to see and to walk around and to play sports and to have hands. Like, these are things that the average person doesn't think about. I didn't think about it. You just don't think about what you have.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because my brother, that's a physician, would always tell me, he says, you know, one of the things is that people walk around every day and they don't realize their health and how fortunate they are until they don't have it. And that's why, you know, I mean, obviously you're an athlete, you were taking care of yourself and things like that, but there's a lot of people out there that just, you know, they're just kind of not just going through the motions, you know, and you know, something happens and just,
you're in a
deal with it.
You're in a state of immense gratefulness.
Right.
Yeah, I really just try and be grateful for everything. That's something that's led to a real shift in my life, is you got to see everything as a blessing.
So you turned, obviously, as tennis, you go through this basically kind of a traumatic experience, like with all of a sudden this awakening that came out of nowhere. And so how did you fall into pickleball?
Yeah, so pickleball, it kind of goes hand in hand with this, because during COVID, I came back home. I was living at home for the first time in 4 years, and a family friend who had been trying to get me to play pickleball since I was probably 15 or 16 has invited me onto the pickleball court for the 100th time. And now I'm at home, there's nothing to do, and I'm like, you know what, I might as well just do this. Like, and I was very anti pickleball. I was a tennis purist 100%. Like, I don't want to play for years. And I finally was like, I just gave in, and I played every day for a full year after that first time. I loved it so much.
So you were about what, 21 at that time?
I was 20, 21, and I played every day for a full year with Hillary Merrill, and she's in the Pickleball Hall of Fame. She's the GOAT.
That's
honestly.
awesome.
Like, if you look into her achievements in racket sports, she's in 4 racket sports Hall of Fames. Like, she really is.
Wow. I saw that post. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, she's legendary. And she taught me how to play, got me into the game, and I started loving it. And honestly, like, the rest is history. I took like 2 months off because she moved away and I didn't have anyone to hit with, and I missed it so much, more than I ever missed tennis on a break. And so,
you found your new joy.
That's exactly what it was.
You found your new why. Like, why?
Yeah, like pickleball became kind of like my new direction. It was, you know, and it motivated me. and having diabetes and just like a real mindset shift all the way around. I
So were
switched
you
my
in school
major.
still?
Yes. So I actually switched my major the semester I got diagnosed. I switched schools. I started attending the local university here so that I could live at home, learn how to take care of myself from scratch, basically. And I will be graduating this May in 3 months with a degree in computer science and a concentration in cybersecurity. I also,
Awesome.
yeah.
And what are you gonna do? Like a minor in pickleball?
So I actually joke with my friends that my major is racket sports and my concentration is pickleball instead of
Right?
cyber. Yeah, but
So
I
you, Carl. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say, like, I've been working as a cybersecurity analyst for almost a year now, part time, while I'm finishing up school and while I'm playing pro pickleball and while I'm representing Crush. And I really feel like everything kind of just came together the way it was supposed to. And if you had told me before I was diagnosed that in 4 years you're still going to be in school, you're going to be playing professional pickleball, and you're going to be a type 1 diabetic, I would have said you
No
are the
way.
craziest person I've ever met. Go into a psych ward.
Yeah.
And now that I'm here, it's like I don't know what I would be doing if I wasn't here. Like, it's crazy that this is the only thing I can imagine now.
Well, I remember Peter was so excited about talking with you, and I was just so
I'm
feeling,
always excited about talking about Carl.
I know. I was feeling so much of a blessing with the way you treated Joey at Next Gen. I really can't say enough about that. And how accepting you were. He was like low man on the totem pole. And you just really welcomed him in. And that was really a cool feeling. And then we went home and Peter said, I think Carl's interested. I'm like, well, that's cool. And then, some time went by, and then he put the package together and he was mailing it out and he had sealed it. And I was like, I want to write him a letter. And do you remember that letter?
Okay, so that's so funny. So that letter is hanging right above the computer on this wall. I have my acceptance letters from my internships, my first job, and my Crush letter are on the wall. So I have 4 letters, and one of them is
Carl.
from
Now you made her cry.
You have no idea how much that letter means to me. So thank you.
And you have no idea how much you mean to us. And I mean, I say it every single time we do this. The podcast is my favorite part of this business, and the people that we touch along the way. And you are special, and God has a really great plan for you. And watching you out there crush it and be an example to other young people. I mean, we can sit and say things to our kids, but when the young kids are an impact on young kids, there is something very powerful in that. And you are doing that.
Yeah.
You're an
so
example
much.
on the court. And
You're making a difference along the way.
I personally love the fire that you show on the court. And then you come off and you're just this gentle giant. I think that's
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, who did that? It was like Dick Butkus. Not to bring football in, but I think it was like Dick Butkus.
I don't know.
Or one of those guys back then.
Yeah.
So this is what I want you to do. I want you to you went through this process in your life, and then all of a sudden just ran into a wall. And you just dug down deep, and you shared with us, what do you want to tell people out there that are watching this that could be
struggling,
hit with a disease, hit with financial crisis, these things like this, where you didn't see it coming all of a sudden? What would you tell them? What do you want to tell them? Like, hey, this is how you got to dig yourself out. This is how you got to make the change to get where you want to go.
Yeah. So, that's a tough question, but I think that when you're in that spot, when you're feeling like lower than you've ever felt, you feel like there's no way out. The first thing that will teach you is you'll learn what you're really made of in those moments. You don't know what you're really capable of under pressure or under desperation in your average day-to-day, good situation life. It takes a traumatic or extremely unfortunate circumstance to bring out what I personally believe every human being has in them, which is the ability to move forward regardless of the situations you're facing. And it might be hard to listen to that and be like, oh, that's kind of a weird thing to
Cliche
say.
or
Yeah,
yeah.
but like I'm telling you, like I was in it. I, was diagnosed with a terminal disease at 20 years old and had no idea what to do and was so down and hopeless. So I was there. I know what it's like. You'll find out what you're really made of, and you got to just keep going regardless of how you're feeling. I'd say the
Right.
biggest thing is to just 80. They say 80% of it is just showing up. So you got to just show up.
Here,
You got to
right
put one
here.
foot in front of
That's
the other.
true.
Yeah, the battle is won and lost in our minds,
In your
and we
head.
certainly know that being entrepreneurs for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You can do it, right? You can do it.
It beats you down.
It's discipline. So before you met us, what were you playing with? What
I was
paddle were
playing
you-
with the Jula Hyperion.
Okay.
And it's a good paddle. At the time it was the best I'd ever used, but it just broke down so often.
I think you said like every 2 to 3 weeks you were
Yeah,
going
yeah.
through.
So I had 4 paddles and I was rotating through them constantly. And every 2 to 3 weeks, I would have to go to Hillary's husband and say, Charlie, the handle snapped off on this thing. Would you mind manually, literally ripping it apart and like applying Gorilla Glue all over the inside of this? And every time he would say, I don't know how this thing is still together. And I go, well, it's
Right.
not. It's together because of you. And then y'all sent me the paddle, and immediately it was the only paddle I'd ever tried that I liked better than the Jewel Hyperion, and it didn't break. And so I was like, this is all I want in a paddle. You just hit both of
And
the check
if I can,
marks.
and I think if I want to preface something too that people probably don't know, and Carl, I'm sure you're going to be humble and say it's not true. Carl, you probably have the hardest hit in the PPA. I've never seen anybody serve the way you do and crush the ball the way you do. We should probably send him more balls because I know he goes to more balls.
Right? He's crushing balls.
But with that being said, I mean, it's amazing the way you play, and it's invigorating to see it, just the way you crush it and how hard you hit it. So when you told me that, like, listen, the paddle doesn't delaminate, it doesn't fall apart or anything like that. And I think we just, after a couple months, 4 months maybe, finally replaced your paddle. And I said, well, what happened? He said, no, it's just wearing down. I'm playing every day and everything. I was like, all right, well, job well done.
Yeah, there are trial and error to figure out what we can do better. So now, are you playing with the new racket?
Oh yes. So that thing, oh my gosh, I could go on about this paddle. So I joke with my friends because in tennis my backhand was much better than my forehand, and in pickleball, before I got the racket, I really didn't even have a backhand. I would run around everything I could, and I would kind of make it look like I could hit the backhand, but I couldn't. I had no confidence in my backhand. I really disliked hitting it. And I got that racket, and something changed immediately where it was like, I can hit the ball now on the
Do you have the
backhand
all
side.
white one? You have the
Yes.
all white one, right? That we did on the drop.
Yes.
We just launched. We got the final artwork in the Wimbledon green with the white
Oh
stitching.
my gosh. Yeah, I was looking at that and I was wondering if that in the
Yeah.
background, I was like, is that a racket? Because I like that color.
It is. It is.
We'll get to the Wimbledon green.
Yeah, we got
Oh,
to get you
So,
please
hooked up.
do.
so it's been a game changer for you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I'd say that right after the backhand, the number one thing that changed was on my serve. I've always really loved serving in pickleball, and PPA implemented this new serve rule. I really just like, I'm not going to get into that, but it got consistent with this racket because before I could really nuke it, but I was missing maybe 2 serves a game, which doesn't sound like a lot, but at the pro level, that is quite a bit. With this racket, I'm not missing a serve in 3 rounds, and I'm literally swinging as hard as I can, hitting the ball as hard as I can, and I'm just not missing. And I think having that extra leverage on forehand makes a huge difference, and I think that should be like talked about. There are so many tennis players on the pro tour, and everyone who I show this paddle to is like, oh my gosh. And they want to try it, but they're signed with some paddle company that they don't like.
Right.
And it's really unfortunate, but
well, we see that a lot. We see people are with paddle companies just because they're getting paid to be on them, not because they love the paddle or the people behind it. We know we're small, but we're changing lives and the experience on the court one at a time. I have to chime in on what you were saying about a new rule. I don't know any of the pickleball rules. I just run a pickleball company, and so I can't tell you any of the pickleball rules. But I saw a post last night because I get onto social media before I finish up my night in the office, and it was on one of the forums on Instagram, and it said, "What rule would you like to see in pickleball?" And I literally responded, "No more rules, just have fun."
Yep.
There's just,
Right.
I hope that we don't take, it's growing so fast. As a mother with boys, and my whole house is competitive. I'm not competitive at all. I don't care if I win. My kids ask me, "Why are you okay with losing?" I'm like, "Did you have fun? If you had fun, I won."
Mhm.
And so to me, it's not the number at the end of the game, but it is about the journey. And I hope that we don't change the game of pickleball with too many rules. I hope that it continues to be, the pros are here and this is everybody else in pickleball. And I hope that we nurture, that would probably be one of our goals in crushing it in the market, is to continue. We want to love on, the pros and where they're going, but we want to continue to love on the mass and make sure that we're continuing to have fun, and that there aren't too many rules, and that we're just enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. That's the most important thing.
Hey, you've been awesome. And thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I hope that everybody watching out there, this is resonating, because everyone's going through challenges in life, and you may see them coming or you may not see them coming. But the good news is that you're going to get through them. It's how you handle them. And at the end of the day, if you just believe in yourself and just, flip the switch in your head and just try a little bit more each day, that life is going to change out for the better. So thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for being on our team. We adore you. We love watching you. We can't wait till the next tournament's coming up. I want everybody to make sure, go to crushpickleball.com.
Follow Carl.
Follow Carl Hilliard.
Yes.
And we'll put that up down low, so they can follow you as well.
Perfect.
And please make sure you keep following Crush Life. Until then, we'll see you guys next time.
God bless, Carl.
Thanks, Carl.
We adore
Thank you so much.